Welcome everybody, this is the first edition of TopTalk from Lemontop and the BFBi. We've got some great guests lined up for everyone today, so I'm just going to quickly ask everyone to introduce themselves, starting with Ruth.
Okay, yep, it's Ruth. I'm the CEO of BFBi Trade Association, and I'm here to give information, advice on what the government is doing to support you. I've been tracking that closely over the last few weeks.
Excellent. And Sam?
Hi, I'm Sam Morris. I'm manager, I suppose, of Oasthouse. I'm here to talk about all things small pack, really: cans, bottles, machines, availability of cans, etc.
Excellent. And Will?
Hi, I'm Will Rogers, Group Technical Director at Charles Faram. Here to talk about anything hop, really, but you know, what's concerning you, hop contracts, what's the crop going to be like, any questions you might have hop related.
Excellent. And Mark?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Sales Director of Brothers Brewery Rentals. So I'm here to talk about access and how Close Brothers can help our customers with various funding options for purchasing of canning lines and any other equipment or general funding through the government schemes if that is required.
Excellent. And I'm Andy from Lemontop, and I'm here to talk about getting your business online, making the most of the digital opportunities that have arisen from the current situation. So we'll start off with just find out a little bit about how the COVID-19 has affected business for people. Do you want to start with you, Sam? How's it affecting you guys?
So obviously from a staffing point of view, and travel, we've got guys here that generally would travel all the way across Europe, and that's all stopped. Some of them are a little bit happy about that at the moment. So we're having to do things a little bit differently. So video is great. We've done video installs of bottling machines, canning machines. And then from a can point of view, which is probably a major part of our business at the moment, can demand, trying to get as many cans out to new customers, existing customers. So although our can volumes have probably increased, it's put quite a massive strain on us, with less staff than what we would normally have, from the office right through to the warehouse, trying to manage social distancing in the warehouse, logistics companies coming in and out, how we manage deliveries, etc. So it's been fairly hectic. Quite
a challenge, but you're getting through it.
Yeah.
Good. So how about you, Will?
So what breweries are seeing in drop-off in trade with pubs is directly reflected with us. We furloughed a lot of staff, unfortunately, although they're all chomping at the bit to get back. We've seen a significant drop in trade. Daily orders there's still quite a number, but they're a lot smaller because a lot of brewers are just brewing small amounts for local trade. And we're trying to manage inventory for ourselves and for our customers as well. So we're already experiencing some demand in some areas, and other brewers may have mothballed at the start and not actually looking to come back until they see a route to market through the pubs.
Right, yeah. Fingers crossed they'll be back open and getting some beer out. So how about you, Ruth?
Well, I'm sort of looking at it across an entire supply chain, and for us the biggest issue, whether it's with government or with other trade bodies, is getting people to understand the supply chain. That, you know, we're driven ultimately by the pubs. The pubs determine how much beer will be produced or other drinks will be produced, which determines how much of the supplies they need. And so it's very difficult. This furlough issue has been concerning me, especially with this, you know, go back to work, don't go back to work, go back to work, because the supply chain can't really go back to work before their customers, because we don't know what their customers want, if their customers want anything. So it is quite complex, and just getting into everybody to understand that it's not just brewers, it's not just pubs, it's supply chain too.
Yeah. It's certainly affecting it, again, the whole supply chain, isn't it?
It is, everybody.
So, yeah. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, so I mean, business as usual for us has taken on a totally different the vast majority of the time that my sales team have been spending is helping our customers really through this period in terms of payment plans in place and forbearance plans. So the majority of our time is spent in that sphere. The other challenge for us, of course, is looking forward when we do start to have a backup plan. Is how we're going to get best part of all of our containers back in into the sort of system, as you just touched on with the supply chain. Obviously, we're a very important part of that in supplying the kegs and the casks. So we've got to get them back first and foremost. Obviously, get them all clean, sterilised, and back out into the supply chain again. Hence the requirement for sort of a 4-week notice period for pubs to reopen again. So we've got those challenges to consider as well. But I think that's a little bit further down the line at the moment. It is helping us to access the funding that is available there, and the help and grants and assistance, so that we can come together.
Yeah. I mean, again, for us, it's we've been busy, but a lot of things are going online. So again, we've got a lot of brewery clients now who are trying to get the websites up and running, who've not done e-commerce before, wanting to obviously try and sell beer online, because with the pubs being shut and a lot of the shops being shut, that's their only route to market. And so far it's working out for them, but it's been a challenge for us gearing up for that. I mean, again, like Will, we're using Microsoft Teams for a lot of things. We've gone digital with meetings. Seem to spend a lot of time on things like this, which is good, but you can't be meeting people and having a beer, can you?
No.
So,
Definitely not.
Certainly looking forward to getting back to that. But
beer festival that's open. I think we're all going to be there. It's a very well populated beer festival.
Yeah, wild horses wouldn't stop me.
But yeah, it's just been so intense the last 6-7 weeks as well. It's been interesting. But it's not, again, it's nice to see the breweries changing how they think and how they're dealing with things, and looking at offering different things to their customers as well. I know some of them are doing delivery of food with beer and things like that. So it's good to see that happening, and nice to see people being positive. Instead of just sitting and sort of fretting about stuff. But yeah, it's been good for us so far. So yeah. So well, we've had a few questions come in from people on various things. So I'm going to start with Sam, and we've been asked, where can people get can and bottle stocks, and what are the sort of minimum order quantities?
So bottle stocks we don't handle them here, but a lot of customers and people that have been ringing up here, I've been dropping them through to Beats and Clark now. They have got minimum orders which you have to take over 12 months, which are quite large. But if you get in touch with a guy called Chris there, and I can pass on his details, he'll send you through to distributor networks that they've got that are local to the breweries, and find the best possible solution that way from a bottle point of view. From cans, you can get in touch with us. We've got plenty of cans at the moment. We're managing stocks quite well. Crown have had a couple of issues the last week or so, but we are managing stocks quite well, and we've got orders through with the factories through until mid-June at the moment. So minimum orders generally whereas we used to be 351, which is one layer, in order to speed things up in the warehouse here, we're going down the route of it's 3,000 just over for 440 and 3,500 just over for 330. So they're not huge volumes, they're manageable quantities and small pallets that can be lifted if people don't have forklifts. Most of our delivery network has tail lift capability in most areas, so there's quite a few bits that we can do to ensure they can get to where they need to.
Excellent. So are you providing sort of all the services about like labelling and sleeving and things like that as well,
Yeah.
as well as the actual cans?
Yeah, so they can have labelled cans delivered, so we can support them with, direct them to label manufacturers and printers that will print labels for them. They get them delivered here, we apply them, and the cans get shipped out ready to go with the decoration on. And we do the same from a sleeving point of view as well.
Excellent. And it's, again, with the sleeves, are they done in-house, or are they as the minimum quantities with that sort of companies you recommend? Or
so we can do the sleeves at any volume from 351, preferred is 1,000. And we can mix them onto a pallet. So decoration, there is no real minimum order. If they want, 2 layers of one brand, 2 layers of another. Brewers are quite adaptable, and we've had brewers that have just had a generic label, and then they may just write on it if they're using desktop seamers and things like that to do small carry out. So they're just going for a generic sleeve with their branded information on, and then literally writing on what the individual beers are. So it saves them that way. They've just got one can that they can put any beer in, if that makes sense.
excellent. And are you still supplying sort of canning machines and seamers and things like that to people who want to get into canning? Because I know there's quite a lot of people considering it at the minute, with it being the sort of quickest way to get beer out. Yeah,
so we are supplying. The machines are coming through from the US. Some lead times a bit longer than the others. Wild Goose have got a new small machine out, so the lead time on that is getting longer as we get more and more orders across the globe, really. And it's just purely to do with demand. But there are machines available either from us or other suppliers. There are a couple of bottling machines. I think we've got links into 2 guys that are selling second-hand bottling machines. So they're reconditioned ones. So there are plenty of machines out there. There are a few desktop seamers that are currently circulating through a few of the small home brewer supplies. And I know there's another one that will launch, I think, beginning of June.
Excellent. So plenty for people to consider then if they're wanting to get the beers out and canned and shipped out to customers.
Yeah.
Excellent. It looks like we've lost Mark there for now, so hopefully he'll be back online. I know he's having some problems with his audio connection, so fingers crossed. Next in, we've had a question for Will about hop contracts and what's going to happen to their 2019 hop contracts.
Yeah, we've got a lot of customers who are very concerned about this, and I'm sure it's just the tip of the iceberg. A lot of brewers that may have furloughed staff or mothballed will also be concerned about it. From Charles Faram's perspective, we're negotiating and helping on an individual basis. So if you want to call in and speak to Beth or Jamie, because Rafiq and John have been furloughed, that they will look to help as much as we can on individual bases. It sort of depends on what the balance of your contract is, what varieties are on there, and we may look to push the contract out further so that you don't necessarily need to take all the hops by the end of the calendar year. We might push it out to March, for instance, to allow you a little bit more time to catch up with that contract.
Excellent. So is this going to lead to sort of an extra surplus of hops and hop prices increasing, decreasing? Is it going to lead to cheap hops?
Potentially in the short term, it could lead to cheap hops. There certainly how the different merchants and hop suppliers are treating the situation will mean that there might be some brewers who absolutely have to take their contract within a specified time, and therefore they might be looking to sell some of their own contracted hops at a distressed price. Growers are looking to reduce the volume that they're going to produce this year, both here and in the US. Not so much on continental Europe, because they're saying all the hops are contracted. We're working with the growers. We don't want to see a shortage, but neither do we want to see an oversupply, because what happens if there's a big oversupply is that we'll see growers going out of business, and that will have the inverse effect in a few years' time. We saw the shortages in 2007, and we're trying to flatten that out by managing the supply rather than having this peaks and trough situation, which is bad for brewers as well as growers and merchants in the long term.
Yeah. So for the brewers coming back who are looking at sort of who are mothballed at the minute or who are furloughed and they're looking at coming back, what's the best process for them to get back in touch with you guys regarding their hops?
Yeah, to call or email, because I'm sure when we get the signal that pubs are going to reopen, that there'll be a tidal wave of brewers wanting to start up again. So probably try and email as early as you can and give us a bit of time to come back to you with your positions. Try and have that information in front of you at the time as well would be useful if you've been keeping a track. And we'll look to start the dialogue from there.
Excellent. We've also had another question just come in on the questions and answers about how everyone's finding the supply lines. Are you still able to find and get what you need during the pandemic, or are there any shortages in stuff? So I guess, Will, for the hop sort of side of stuff?
There's no real problem with hops. New Zealand has just finished harvesting, and we've got a couple of containers already on their way over from there. We haven't had any problems shipping hops all around the world during the crisis. It seems pretty straightforward. The only issues that might come about are maybe in some other materials, malt and yeast, but at the moment that all appears to be clear as well. There might be slightly longer waiting times, but we've taken that into account when we're ordering goods, and we have reasonable stocks.
Excellent. Oh, that's good to hear. How about you, Mark? Are you finding things difficult to get hold of? Are you with the sort of the banks and things like that, or are you able to access the bits you need relatively easily still? Oh. No, I'm not sure Mark can hear us.
No, I don't think he can.
Oh, go on then. Oh, go on, Mark.
Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
No. Oh. Well, we'll ask Sam then.
I think not massive issues. I know that there have been issues with staffing levels on some of the shifts for Crown's production for 330s due to really illness, and they closed one shift down completely. And that's only been the last kind of week, which has thrown supply out a little bit. But they have processes in place and disaster measures and everything else. So they are trying to get the production back up. I know a couple of people who've got printed who've said the same from Crown this week, but we're managing okay, and we've got the three main producers, so we've got Crown Ball and Ardar. So we're doing okay at the moment. As I say, we're quite fortunate in that we kind of acted fairly early, and we put some clear orders in right through until June. I mean, between the three suppliers, we were practically a lorry a day here, sometimes more. So we're managing okay at the moment.
How about you, Ruth? Are you experiencing any issues with things like that at your end?
Yeah, it depends. There were issues at the very beginning of getting components in specifically from China, which were obviously to make items. The issue I'm getting now up the chain or up the stream is that companies are not knowing how much to invest in products because they don't know if they'll be sold or not. So they're going into debt. They're going into bigger debt now to buy the components and the raw materials, etc., to make the items that they sell. But they're then wondering, are they going to get the money back in the sales? So that's quite a difficult one. Do you bunker down, shut down, and just wait for everything to move, or do you try and get a little bit ahead of the game?
Yeah. Again, from a lot of the breweries we deal with, we're even having issues getting hold of things like shipping cases and all the things. Again, all the things that sort of they've previously not needed, but with everybody making the rush to go online, they're struggling with bits like that. So the supply chain's certainly affected in some places. I think
we've had a lot of inquiries about boxes and who's the best small pack shipper to use from breweries that take cans. It's like, have we any ideas or, feedback from others? And boxes and things like that seem to be the real big thing at the moment, which they've never had to consider before.
Yeah. That and we're getting asked a lot about couriers as well. Obviously for shipping, that once they've got the boxes, who's the best courier to use? Because there's so many out there and the costs vary so much as well. So there's a lot of that. Although we did have a brewery client who a courier sent a van to pick up their orders, and they had to send a second van later on because they've done that many orders, which is quite nice to hear.
Good problem to
have. So they're currently regularly filling 2 or 3 vans full to go out, which is nice. Nice to see going forward as well. So what else have we had? We've got one for Ruth. After Boris's statement on Sunday, are we supposed to go back to work or not?
Oh golly, go back to work.
There's one.
Travel to work, don't travel.
I'm getting ready now, Ruth.
The difficult ones.
It was confusing. They put some more wording in it now, thank God. So it's go back to work if your company is open. Because that's the difficult thing. We could open up, we could be socially distant, we can work with all the PPE, etc. But if there's no business to be done, you can't afford to open. So this statement that Rishi Sunak made this afternoon was really, really well received. So Rishi has just said that furlough will be extended until the end of October. The job retention scheme at 80% will continue until the end of July. And I'm assuming then from August onwards, it will be a lower rate. And that part-time furlough will also be brought in, but we won't know the exact details of that until the end of May. So for me, I've got 2 people on furlough, and they will stay in furlough until I know what the part-time job retention scheme is. Because I can't afford to have everybody at the moment working full-time when there isn't a huge amount in terms of events and all the rest of the things that we do, training, etc., to do. So go to work, don't go to work. I'm staying home.
So going forwards with the event side of things, again, looking at sort of moving online and how you can do that, things like this, different sort of seminars.
We've got a number of what we call trade talks, so our seminars, etc. And we'll look to go online and we'll see. We'll know the feedback from the people listening if it works or not. If it works, we'll continue those. Face to face, you can't beat face to face. I would say that, wouldn't I? But you can't beat face to face. And I very much look forward to putting on a big bash when all this is out. So,
well, I think everyone's looking forward to that, aren't they? It's
oh God, yeah. That sort of industry. But until then, we'll do virtual, online, and see how that goes.
Excellent. So, so what about the grant side of things? Any advice sort of for people on that, how they can find out what they're eligible for, who's the best people to speak to, that sort of thing?
They can talk to me. I've created this great long list. We're about to put a coronavirus page on the front of the website, which will have links to all of it as well. The gov.uk site is very good. I have to say the government has pretty much covered all bases. The one base it hadn't covered, which it now has, was the companies who didn't qualify for small business rate relief. And that is now covered by the new top-up grant, the discretionary grant fund, which your local authority can give to you. And my suggestion is that if you haven't had small business rate relief, you're not benefiting from that, then apply as soon as possible. It will be first come, first served. The government has given 617 million to local authorities to give out to companies not yet covered by any of the other grants. The furlough is working really well. 7.5 million people are currently on furlough. And obviously now that will continue to the end of October for those that need it. The VAT, there's VAT deferment, there's self-assessment tax deferment, and there's also an invitation from HMRC that if there's other tax bills that you need to pay, to contact them to defer those as well.
So while we're on the subject of the sort of grants and loans and things like that, Mark, can people apply for different loans with different lenders, or do they have to use the same lender? Is there any restrictions on that?
Yeah, can you hear me okay now, Andy?
You're breaking up a little bit, but I think if you go slowly, we should be all right.
Okay, sound's not fantastic my end either, but how's that?
That's all right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so just really picking up on what Ruth said there are obviously various options available for customers. What Close Brothers can provide, in addition to our normal sort of equipment finance, hire purchase, finance lease, with obviously the civils and coronavirus business scheme that people will be familiar with. I believe it's had varied success within the industry, people access it. We have access to that. We are accredited to offer it for equipment purchases. Anybody is looking at considering putting in canning lines or other equipment, for example, we can use that. To answer your question, Andy, people can apply for more than one funder, but they can't have more than one CBILS loan. But what they could do, for example, a customer could go to their normal bank and get a CBILS loan, which they could use for their working capital or other parts of the business, and then come to ourselves for a separate hire purchase or lease facility on equipment. There are ways of accessing more than one loan, but unfortunately you can't have a CBILS loan with more than one funder. That applies to the buyback loan that people make, which is £50,000, and a bit of an no-brainer if customers because it's interest-free, it's all free for the first 12 months. But again, you can't have a bounce back loan if you've got a CBILS loan and vice versa.
So, are there any restrictions on what you can use the money for once you've got those loans then?
So with limit-based CBILS loan through ourselves, obviously that needs to be used it is specifically for funding of equipment. However, through the clearing banks, it is available as a term loan, and the list of uses that they actually specify on the business banking website is investment, short-term working capital, growth, acquisition, or property. It pretty much everything, to be honest, Andy. A business just has to self-certify it. Adversely affected by the coronavirus. Let's be honest, who hasn't, apart from maybe supermarkets?
Yeah. So in terms of the application process and things, and how long does that take? Is it a painful process for people, or is it quite straightforward?
I believe it's become slicker and slicker. There were reports that it was taking long, and banks were not getting the processes through as quickly as they could, or people getting refused. The government stepped back in and made it easier. I say that customers don't have to. They have to prove that there was a virus before we went into COVID-19, but they don't have to now produce cash flows and budgets for the current just prior to COVID to prove that it was a viable business. It should take no longer than a normal credit process. We would try and the new bank is a lot slicker, and that's actually an online process that funders will have, which I believe is about a 2-page process that's self-certified online and should be turned around within 48 hours. So it's supposed to be improving all the time.
Yeah, bounce back loans, 24 hours I'm getting feedback that the money, get the money through, and it is just a 2-page self-assessment form.
Yeah, it's supposed to be much easier.
Excellent. So, right. Well, I'm just checking on the questions that are coming in live as we speak. James has asked, can we put a ballpark figure on what it would cost to get into small-scale bottling and small-scale planning? They're a 10-barrel brewery, brewing 3 times a week. And he's also said, Will, you're looking lean, so keep it up.
Too kind. Thank you, James.
I don't know how much you've paid him to say that, but there you go. So I guess
nothing could be further from the truth, unfortunately, but there we go.
So I guess this one's probably for you, Sam, putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, so depending what you're looking for. So if you're looking canning machine for about 700 an hour, cans, you are looking about 22,500 is the basic setup price for a semi-automatic machine. That's the entry-level machine. And then through to something a bit kind of bigger, 900 plus to 1,000 cans an hour, you're looking about 51,000. For bottling line, anything really from our end, so from about 35,000 up to about 70,000, depending on speed and what you want.
Excellent. Well, hopefully that helps, James, and obviously you can get in touch with the panel after this and see how they can help. We've also had someone ask, has anyone seen a flip side to the pandemic where things have changed for the better and it's improved their business? Anybody really? I know we've been busy. We've had a lot of breweries, like I said earlier, that have switched what they're doing. That are offering collection from the breweries. They're offering local delivery. They're offering national delivery. Doing food deliveries, all sorts of things like that. So there's been a lot of positivity there. Anybody else seen any with their own business or with businesses they know?
I think one of the biggest things for me is just the sheer amazement on how adaptable brewers are and how ingenious. And, you know, one day it's like, oh, I've lost everything, my kegs and everything. And the next morning they're awake, they're on online shops, they're getting canning or bottling or home deliveries. It's absolutely, you know, it's stunning to watch really how hard they're working and how adaptable they actually are. And I've seen just from the, you know, sheer volume of cans and the new customers that are coming through that, you know, traditionally wouldn't have done small pack. And I had one brewer today who said they'd always avoided small pack because they thought it would be too difficult. And he said, actually, it's not that bad, and we're going to do it again. Yeah. So it's that kind of positive side, really.
I think it's a silver lining in a way for the brewers that had not been in small pack to realise that, you know, they can access the consumer direct. I've been getting feedback from some craft brewers that they've it's a 40% margin that they can regain if they can sell direct to the consumer. And so it's just when we come out of this and pubs are back online, it's just another arrow they've got, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think those that were wary of doing it before, and that people say that one we used to hear quite a lot was people wouldn't pay for postage, and now people are paying for postage. So hopefully going forward, that people are going to be used to paying sort of £8-10 for getting something delivered, and getting it super fresh from the brewery as well. I think it's again good for the consumer, isn't it?
It is, and another feedback I've got from a regional brewer, small regional brewer, is that suddenly they're being seen by the consumer because they're doing deliveries from the brewery and from their tap room. Local people who didn't even know they existed have become regular customers.
Yeah, Ruth, I saw a great example of that on Friday. We had a distancing VE party in our house on Friday afternoon, and that happens. So local brewery came onto the estate to deliver, make deliveries, and because people actually saw him with him, I asked him to come back later. So he spent most of the day backwards and forwards delivering bagging boxes to the neighbourhood. So really good example of that.
Excellent. I know Sean, who's watching, said they're certainly busy on deliveries, as they were a tap room only originally, and it's very likely that they're going to continue the delivery service once lockdown's ended. So that's good to hear. But he also says he's struggling to source 2-pint milk bottles on a regular basis. So if anybody knows any contacts where you can get some of them, it'd be useful.
I'll look into it.
Sean, try Paul at the homebrew outlet or brew packs. He might be able to help him or have some, so might point him in the right direction.
Yeah, I think I've seen quite a lot of breweries doing that sort of 2-pint, 4-pint milk carton takeaway, and it seems to be going well for them. And I know a couple that have had to rebrew as well. So that's again positive. So hopefully they'll be buying some hops from Will before long.
Yes.
We've had another bit more feedback in. Thank you to Sue for her answer. And every cloud comes with a silver lining. Because of COVID and Rishi Sunak has been great for us. We've taken advantage of everything we're doing. And to be honest, it's been like having an investor, but better. We're doing about 40% of our normal business with much lower costs. We just have to hope that when pubs do open fully, that the market share will not have decreased with pubs closing. So another positive story there from James.
I think you have to look at the positives. I think the government is doing as much as it can to provide a financial package. And we know that a lot of people don't want to take loans, but the loans, the interest rate, I think is fair. I know that the interest rate for the bounce back loan is 2.5%, but you don't pay that interest for the first year. So if you can manage to pay back within the first year, you're laughing. And as we've seen, the innovation and the ingenuity that's being shown by everybody, it's quite astounding.
Yeah. Back to the subject of 2-pint milk cartons. James has also said you can get them from grahamtyson.com. So I'll publish that in the sort of meeting notes afterwards and pass that around to everyone in case anybody else wants to have a look at that. So I think that's all the questions we've had in so far. Has anybody listening got any more that they'd like answering? Or any of the panels want to ask the rest of the panel anything else?
No.
I think Greg, just a quick one there. There'll be the meeting notes will be done. There'll be a recording of the video available, but we'll also there'll be just a quick summary in a Word document or PDF that we'll put online for you as well, so you can get easy access to that. We're looking at running one of these probably the week after next again. So if anybody's got anybody they'd like to see on the panel or any questions for the panel members now, if they want to send those through to us, we can get those planned in and hopefully answer all your questions then as well.
Yeah, we'll send a feedback out. So if you'd be kind enough to answer the feedback, and again, put any topics or questions or people you'd like to see, please do let us know.
Excellent. So yeah, well, that's brilliant. Thanks for everybody for attending, and thanks to the panelists. And we'll get the next one scheduled in, and hopefully see you all again soon.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.